Hi, I'm Elisa, and today we are going to talk about my July and August reading update. It's been a hot minute since I filmed one of these. I have to be honest, it has a lot to do with the fact that I am just not super happy with my reading lately. I feel like I've been overthinking the amount that I read. I feel like I'm not reading enough, but then I also feel like when I'm reading, I'm not loving the books that I'm reading. So it's been a little rough in that capacity, but I'm going to show you the books that I have been able to read and the books that I hauled. So I kicked off July by finishing The Boyfriend Candidate by Ashley Winstead. This is the second book in the Fool Me Once series. They're all about different characters in the same world. I loved the first one, Fool Me Once, and I love Ashley Winstead. I have read a couple of her thrillers, really loved them. Read her first romance a few years ago and was like, oh wow, this actually was really good. This one, however, did not work for me. I gave it a 2-star. I just was annoyed like the whole time. I am not a Grumpy Sunshine fan. I'm kind of realizing that if you have a guy that you're gonna qualify as grumpy, I'm not even sure this is, it is Grumpy Sunshine. I'm not totally sure. I don't really remember, which is not good, but I want to say that it is Grumpy Sunshine. And like the whole time, I'm just like, I think you're just an asshole. So it's constantly me just being like, why are you spending time with him? He sucks. And that's never a fun experience. I think with this one in particular, the main character was annoying. I didn't like the love interest all that much. So it was just like not a good, I've not told you what this book is about at all. It was not a good combo for me. It's basically about this librarian, Alexis Stone, who gets dumped and decides, I am gonna go out and try to have a one-night stand and be a completely different person than who I normally am. And she meets Logan, who is running for governor of Texas, and things go from there. She doesn't realize who he is at first, and then they have some experiences, some things happen, and she finds out, and then basically they decide to fake date. And I like fake dating normally. Fake dating normally works for me, but this, I just was like annoyed. Like I just didn't like the characters. I didn't like the situations they were happening. There's a sex scene in a school library at one point. I just don't like it. I just don't like it. I don't know if they actually have sex in the school library. I want to say they have sex in the school library, but I could be wrong. They have close to a sex scene in a school library, and it bothered me immensely. Then I read Goodbye Earl by Lisa Cross Smith. I gave this a 2-star, and like looking back, it's probably a 1. I read this on vacation. I bought this at the local bookstore, the secondhand bookstore in my town, during my birthday weekend. I was with my friends, and I love the song Goodbye Earl by the Dixie Chicks, and I regret everything about this. There was so much crying in this book. I wish I had tallied it. I would be sitting out on the beach, we're in Outer Banks, and I would just turn to my fiance and I'd be like, somebody's crying. And then like a page later, somebody's crying. Sometimes same page. And he'd be like, that has to be the same crying incident. I'd be like, no, different crying incidents. The amount of crying in this book was unhinged. Like it was just ridiculous. Like if anyone cried around me as much as these people cry, I think I would have to be like, okay, no, we cannot hang out. It's about friendship, and like I didn't hate, like I like the idea. I think Lisa Cross Smith can write friendship very well. Like you want to feel as close as you do to these people, like you want that friend group, but then you kind of don't. It was just annoying. I feel like nothing happened for so much of this book. For something that's called a revenge novel and is evoking Goodbye Earl, it doesn't give Goodbye Earl at all. I just can't stand it. Basically, it's about a girl who comes back to her hometown for one of her best friend's weddings, or even I think it's like the sister of the best friend. And she has to deal with everything she's left behind, including some very secretive things that happened in her past. It was so boring and also so filled with crying people, I could not. I probably should give it a 1. Next up, I hauled and read The Compound by Aisling Rawle. This was really fun. So this is basically like Lord of the Flies meets The Bachelorette, kind of. No, Love Island. Love Island. And it was so cool. Basically, the women in this house wake up, or the women in this wake up in this house, and they have been left with whatever the previous contestants of this television show left them. And the men have to trek through the desert to get to the house. So they have no idea how long that's going to take. And then from there, they can earn things by doing tasks. So there are group tasks where they can earn things that will benefit everybody. And then there are personal tasks that they can do that will just benefit them. And I really loved this. Like, I ate this up. Like, I think I read this in like 3 days. It was so good, which is real quick for how I've been reading lately. It was exactly what I wanted it to be. Unfortunately, the ending just did not give that like 5-star feeling. So I gave it a 4, but it is still one of the best books that I've read this year. It was so much fun, and I would highly recommend this if you like game-based books, reality show-based books. Like, this was just really cool because it is very like near future, but also kind of end of the world feeling. It was so good, and I would highly recommend this. Next up, I read Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry. So I normally read all of my romances on audiobook, and I have unhauled a lot of romances this year because of that fact. I did read this on audio, and then it promptly got taken from me by the library because I ran out of time on my hold, or on my checkout. And so I could have waited for the very long hold list on every possible way. I checked ebook, audiobook, physical copy at my library. The hold list was so incredibly long. I had some Target gift cards for my birthday, and I decided, you know what? I'm gonna buy this. And I ended up only having like 10 pages left. I was actually really annoyed when I opened this and realized how little I had left when the library took it from me, but I actually really liked this. I gave this a 4-star. I am seeing very mixed reviews about this. I'm hearing that they find the other plotline to be boring. I'm reading that it feels like a failed Evelyn Hugo situation. I really liked it though. It worked for me. It's about this girl who wants to write her big book. She wants to write a book. She wants to, you know, make a mark. And she gets an opportunity to kind of audition to write this huge Hollywood star's memoir. Which basically, she is auditioning but also competing for the chance to write this book with a Pulitzer Prize winning author. And so she meets him, and he's very grumpy sunshine. And this is very grumpy sunshine. I'm not actually sure if the boyfriend candidate is, or if I just was annoyed by the characters. Either way, super grumpy sunshine, but for some reason, this didn't bother me as much. Well, it did. I was like actively mad at him because I was like, why are you just being an asshole? And also, why do you keep talking to him? I think it worked for me because he was an asshole, and instead of being kind of like naive about it, she would just be like poke him. Like, he would be like, oh, you're here. And she would be like, yeah. And then she'd like send him a giant fishbowl drink just to be annoying. And I'm like, that is how I would handle that. Yes. I liked it. I found there were parts of it that irked me, but overall, it's not my favorite Emily Henry by any stretch of the imagination. However, I did give it a 4-star because I did enjoy it and it did work for me mostly. So I was like, okay, I want to buy that one. And then I started talking to my fiance about Emily Henry books, and I started just kind of going over all of them and kind of ranking them and putting them in order and thinking, oh, like, I don't really remember what XYZ was about, and realizing that I wanted to reread them. So while I have unhauled, I think 2 of these in the past, I bought them again. So I now own all of the Emily Henrys, and we're gonna go through them real quick. So, oh, this one, Beach Read, got cut in the mail, but that's okay. She's got a little injury. but that's okay. Obviously, first ever Emily Henry. This is somewhere middle of the pack for me. I get it mixed up, like plotline wise, with Book Lover a lot of the time. So I want to reread them because I think I read them very close together and I just can't remember which is which. So I own that one again. This is arguably, I want to say, my least favorite. This is People We Meet on Vacation. It just did not work for me. This, I want to say, this might have been my first Emily Henry, actually, now that I think about it. And I was just like, no. I don't know what it was about this, but I was like, pass. But I now own it again because I'm a completionist. Not really, but I felt like, okay, give it another chance, read it again. People love this one. It's obviously being made into a movie with, I believe, Jacob Elordi, which, hey, I'm down. So I would like to reread this and see how I feel about it now. Book Lovers, this, like I said, I get mixed up with Beach Read a lot. I think I remember scenes of each of them, but then like overall plot, I'm like, wait, which one is this? What happens in this? And I'm actually like holding this. I'm like, wait, I kind of remember what happens in this one. So I am excited to reread these, honestly. Next up, we have Happy Place, which is my favorite Emily Henry. And apparently that is an unpopular opinion. This worked really well for me for some reason. There was something about this that I was just on board with the whole time, even though the concept is absolutely batshit crazy. This is my favorite one and I want to reread it and I want to see if it's still my favorite one. And then obviously Funny Story, which I think is probably my second favorite, but that might just be like a recency effect because obviously I read this last year. I think I want to just reread all of them. I want to like take a week and binge all the Emily Henrys and then decide really what I think, because I A, get them mixed up, and B, some of them I've read a really long time ago, within the last 5 years, but a lot longer ago, and I've read a lot more romance. So I wonder if my perspective has changed at all. So yes, I did repurchase in some cases, but purchase all of the Emily Henry books. And honestly, I have no regrets about that. I am not a romance girly in a lot of ways. I read a decent bit of romance on audio, but very, very rarely does it work for me. And Emily Henry's writing just hits every time. I literally like could hate the book, probably. I've never hated a book, but it's still just like, I love what you do and I have no complaints. So I own all of them. I want to reread all of them. I'm happy with this purchase. Okay, let's get into some books that I haven't read yet. This is Megan Miranda's newest. This is You Belong Here. I keep wanting to call it You Don't Belong Here for obvious reasons. And I'm definitely behind on Megan Miranda's backlist. But this says, memories fade, but on this campus, legacies are never forgotten or forgiven. A new thriller from best-selling author Beckett Bowery. What a name. Bowery? Beckett Bowery? Like William Bowery? Okay. Never thought she'd return to Wyatt Valley. Wyatt Valley. My God, why is that hard? Wyatt Valley. A picturesque college town in the Virginia mountains steeped in tradition. Her roots there were strong. They taught at the college, blah, blah, blah. I like the idea of a Virginia Mountains University. I have to go to Charlottesville a bunch coming up because I'm getting married there. Woo. And my fiance went to UVA, so I'm gonna bring this on one of the trips because that sounds fun. I mean, it's not exactly in the mountains, but like, you know. This will be fun. Like I said, I'm really behind on Megan Miranda. I probably have only read 2 of her books, but I own it. Next up, I read Everything is Tuberculosis, The History and Persistence of Our, what is his full title? Deadliest Infection by John Green. I gave this 5 stars. I love John Green's writing. His last book, I cannot remember what it's called, The Anthropocene Defined or something like that, I loved. I really, really liked. And I realized that I just like him talking about topics. And that is pretty much what this book is. It is all related to tuberculosis, how things relate to tuberculosis. It all connects back. And I really liked it. It made me super uncomfy sometimes because like you get graphic depictions of illness, and I get kind of weak about that. So driving, sometimes I'd have to be like, okay. But I really liked it. I really liked the story of the people that he met weaved throughout, and yeah, it was a 5-star. Next up, we have an aardvark book. This is House of Beth by Carrie Cullen. I don't remember what this was. After a heart-wrenching breakup with her girlfriend and a shocking incident at her job, Cassie flees her life as an overworked assistant in New York for her hometown in New Jersey along the Delaware River. She reconnects with her high school best friend. So she basically moves into this guy's house. She knew him growing up. He's a widow, and then she starts feeling like she can hear his dead wife. So Rebecca, I guess, 2.0. A woman steps into a life that may still belong to someone else. This feels like Rebecca. Gives Rebecca vibes. I'm into that. Oh no. Then I read With a Vengeance by Riley Sager. My beautiful, beautiful signed copy from Murder by the Book. Lovely. I gave this 2 stars, and I am so sad about that. I kind of want to reread it already because I'm just like, is it really a 2-star? Or was I just rushing it? I'm not sure. This is a story that takes place on a train, and it's very and then there were none. We follow, what's her name? Anna Matheson, who in 1942, her entire family fell apart and or was murdered, and she's trying to get revenge on the people who she believes are responsible for that. And she does it on a train, and shit hits the fan. And honestly, I just am not totally sure why this didn't work for me. I just constantly wanted more and constantly felt like I wasn't getting it, and I've been feeling that way about Riley Sager for a while now. I feel like Lock Every Door and so many of his earlier ones, like The Last Time I Lied, were pushing things and going places that I did not see coming. Whereas this, I was just kind of like even the surprising things, I was like, okay. I didn't like our main character. I didn't agree with her motivations a lot of the time. It just didn't work for me. I already want to reread it because I'm seeing positive reviews from people that I normally agree with books on, or agree with about books, so I just am unsure about this. So it's a 2-star for now. I might reread this by the end of the year, but I'm so sad about it. Next up, Party of Liars by Kelsey Cox. Her birthday will be the death of them. I love birthday thriller horror. Sophie Matthews' 16th birthday party, an exclusive black tie bash in the heart of Texas Hill Country. So basically, it's like a 16th birthday party where people are dying. That sounds so fun. And it also sounds like ridiculous, like my Super Sweet 16 ridiculous. So I'm excited for this. And I do love this cover, like with the sprinkles. I don't know, it does something for me. So excited to read this eventually. Then I picked up Saltbones by Jennifer Given. I'm kind of regretting this already because it wasn't, I don't know. I feel like I just like picked it because it said that it was either a thriller or a horror and was like, all right, cool, sounds good. But like, I'm trying really hard not to do that this year. And this is just one of those that I'm like, ooh. It says 3 women in one twisted family race for answers in this gripping retelling of Persephone. I don't know. It's just, I think I picked it for the wrong reasons, which is so sad to say when I'm literally hauling it right now. But I don't know, convince me. If you've read it, please convince me. It has great blurbs. Oh my God. So maybe this does just have to be something that I read to read, because I also feel like books like this that I buy sometimes that I'm like, oh, maybe not. I read and then I'm like, oh wait, shit, I'm so glad I read this. So we'll see. And last up for July, I read a children's Bible by Lydia Millet, I don't know. A blistering little classic. This was a National Book Award finalist, and I really liked this. This was 4 stars for me. It is about the end of the world, basically. These kids are at this crazy house that all of their parents have rented, and it's from the perspective of the children, and they are like really into being independent from their parents and away from their parents because their parents engage in some debauchery and are just kind of bad parents, honestly. And they go off and have adventures and meet new people, and it's the end of the world, so it's fascinating the things that are happening and the way that it is and isn't touching them because of their wealth. And I loved this. I already want to read it again. I couldn't really tell you why this is 4 stars and not 5 stars. I feel like lately I've just been giving things 4 stars, and looking back I'm like, wait, why is this not 5 stars? Like, why did that not give me that feeling? I'm not sure. I did really like this though. Okay, so we're gonna wipe the slate clean with July because honestly I'm not sure like how to count buying books that I've already read, things like that. We're just gonna go from here with August and get into August. So I kicked August off by finishing Wanted, Toddler's Personal Assistant by Stephanie Kaiser. This I gave 3 stars. This was fine. It is a memoir about this woman who is living in New York. She's trying to pay off her student loans and she just can't make it work, so she decides to try nannying, and her first family goes really, really well, so she decides to continue, and it just kind of follows her life in the past as well as her life now and the way people treat her and the things that she encounters in this world of crazy wealth in New York City. So yeah, it was good. It was fine. It was fine. 3 stars. I also finished Reckless Girls by Rachel Hawkins. This I brought on vacation with me, and then I didn't finish on vacation. I finished at home. And it was just kind of crazy, and that's what Rachel Hawkins is best for. I gave it a 3 star. It wasn't bad by any means. It just, I felt like was missing some things. So it is about a girl who has this boyfriend who has a boat, and she has basically been wanting to go on adventures. They're living in Hawaii, but she's feeling very stalled and she's just waiting for him to get his boat fixed when he meets these 2 girls who ask him to take them to this remote island in the middle of nowhere where, you know, some funky shit maybe happened. And they go and they meet some rich ass people on a yacht, and then shit starts to hit the fan. And this kind of really does feel like Lord of the Flies in a lot of ways. It was unhinged, and it had the ending of like, what the fuck? I enjoyed it. I had fun with it. It just wasn't what I wanted it to be. It's one of those books I was bitching a lot with my fiance, just being like, and this thing, and this thing. So 3 stars. It was a fun time. I like Unhinged. This was just not perfect. Then I picked up The Once and Future Me by Melissa Pace. This is an aardvark. Dark matter meets Girl Interrupted in this gripping psychological thriller about a young woman teetering on the edge of reality. Yes, so she wakes up, it's 1954, and she's headed to a psychiatric hospital. She doesn't remember anything about her life before. She realizes that she's like a skillful fighter, and then maybe some things start happening where she's like, wait, who the fuck was I, and where am I, and why am I here, and what is going on? I'm looking forward to it. I think. I don't know. I read reviews of this, and that is what made me buy it. So hopefully I get to it soon, and hopefully I like it. So if you're keeping count, that is 2 that I read in August and 1 that I bought. And then this is the second one I bought. This is Seduction Theory by Emily Adrian. This is very short, and I did not expect it to be that short, but I also love the cover of this a lot. So this is 2 married professors tiptoe toward infidelity. Their transgressions are brought to light in a graduate student's searing thesis project. And yeah, so she's the star of the creative writing department. I can't talk. Her husband sleeps with the department administrative assistant. Yeah, they explores the intoxicating nature of power and attraction and is a masterful demonstration of how love and betrayal can coexist. I like academic settings, and this just sounded very interesting, dealing with infidelity and kind of like using it as a thesis project. Also, it's very short. looking forward to it. So 2 and 2. So then I read The Hounding by Zenobe Purvis. So I was going to buy this through Aardvark, but then reading reviews, I was like, So basically it's a Crucible retelling where the girls are turning into dogs. And then I read reviews where everybody was basically like, if you've read The Crucible, you've read this book. And I have read The Crucible, but it's been years. I did give this a 3-star. I read it on audio, and because I didn't end up buying it from Aardvark. But yeah, it was fine. I agree with the reviews where it's kind of like a very true to plot retelling, so it's pretty easy to predict what's going to happen. But I also found it kind of fun and found it interesting. I liked the way it was written a lot, so yeah, it did work for me. But you know, it's still a very obvious retelling, I guess. Next up, we have one of my most anticipated books of the year. This is Too Old for This by Samantha Downing. I love Samantha Downing because she writes unhinged shit, and I love that. Older, wiser, deadlier. A retired serial killer's quiet life is upended by an unexpected visitor. To protect her secret, there's only one option left. What's another murder? Hell yes. I love Samantha Downing because she just goes there. And every book that I read of hers, she commits, and I love it. So I've really never read a Samantha Downing that I didn't like, knock on wood. I've had ones that didn't work for me as well as other ones. I can't wait for this, but it's also one of those books I'm nervous about ever since, like, you know, Riley Sight, you know, with the Riley Sager not really working for me. I'm scared. So I was doing my local library summer reading challenge this year, and one of the challenges was to have someone go and pick a book for you to read. So I asked my fiance to go into my room, pick out a book, and he picked The Golden Couple by Greer Hendricks and Sarah Pekkanen. This was the only book by this duo that I had not read, and I was pretty excited because I felt like Greer Hendricks and Sarah Pekkanen are authors that go there. They do unhinged shit. They do unexpected shit. This was so boring. I gave it 2 stars. Shit didn't happen until like the last chapter. It took me 3 weeks to read, which is crazy because it's not long. I just did not care. Everything in this, I felt like in their previous books, unhinged shit was happening like off the bat and then sprinkled throughout, so you like could not stop reading. This, it was just a lot of like, that's kind of weird, that's kind of weird, okay, not really sure what that means, over and over and over, and I just did not care. And then like the last chapter, stuff happens and all is revealed. No 2 stars, did not like it. Then I picked up The Haunting of Velkwood by Gwendolyn Kist, not sure. I was at a bookstore with my best friend and we were perusing the sections, and they had a really good horror section, and I remember the books in Lala really liked this one. I actually do not remember what it's about. I have not read the back, and I don't intend on reading the back, but I do intend on getting to it kind of soon because it's calling to me. Then we have a book that I read on audio and then picked up the physical copy of, because that's happening with romance apparently lately. This is The Love Haters by Catherine Center, a book I only gave 4 stars but cannot stop thinking about, so I decided to pick it up secondhand off Pango. I know what it is about this book, and it's not the romance that connected with me. It is about our character, I can't remember her name, Katie, and Katie is a video production person, my god. My god. And she basically is given this task a little bit secondhand to go down to the Florida Keys to make a production video for the United States Coast Guard, and there's lots of foundation laid for a lovely, wonderful romance, and it does get infuriating at one point. Like, I honestly thought I was gonna give it a 2-star. There's a point in this book where I was like, oh fuck that, I'm done. However, it redeemed itself, because my favorite part about this book is not the romance with the very sexy Coast Guard guy that is described. It is Katie's relationship with her body and the story arc that we get around that. I connected with it a lot. Katie starts off truly hating her body. She hasn't been in a bathing suit in years, and she hasn't worn anything but black in many years, and she really has to like push the envelope and push her comfort zone. And there is a point in this book where she has a real honest conversation with herself and her body, and I cry. I will be honest, I cried. And I actually talked about this with my therapist. Like, that is how much it touched me and connected with me and resonated. So I did pick it up. I do want to reread this and kind of go a little slower with it, maybe tab it up. But yes, I did give this a 4-star and then purchase it. So, and then I picked up What Hunger by Catherine Dang from Aardvark. And basically, I believe, yeah, it is about some teenagers who are really craving some red meat. Love that. Also, this cover makes me so uncomfortable, and I love that. So I am super excited. I don't know much. I don't want to know much, but I am intrigued. Then on audio, I read Craft Stories I Wrote for the Devil by Amanda Lima. This I gave a 3-star. I think the beginning really worked for me, and then I think I got a little lost. So it is short stories. They're pretty much all interconnected in some way, I would say. They're stories she wrote for the devil. And I think a lot of important topics are discussed or covered or touched on in these stories, especially about immigration. And it was a very interesting time to be reading this book for sure, with things going on. And I really liked some of the stories, and then some of the stories I just was like, either they lost me or they didn't resonate the way, or they didn't hit the way I wanted them to hit. And I didn't end up disliking the book, but I didn't end up loving it, so I did give it a 3-star. And then I picked up Forget Me Not from Book of the Month by Stacey Willingham. I have not read a single Stacey Willingham, and yet I continue to buy them because, well, first of all, her covers, oh, every time, just like hell yeah. Claire Campbell's older sister disappeared shortly after her 18th birthday. Days later, her blood was found in a car. I've heard great things about her writing, and I do kind of just want to binge a bunch of her books, because now I own like 3 or 4 of them. I think I own as many as she's written, I feel like. But yeah, I'm excited about this. I don't know much. Like with thrillers, don't like to know much. The last book that I read in August was The Locked Ward by Sarah Pekkanen. I was a little nervous to read this after just taking 3 weeks to read The Golden Couple, but my checkout was coming due at the library, so I was like, oh, I have to read this. And yeah, I gave it a 4-star. This is the kind of shit I remember from the duo, like the unhinged shit, or the very different places that they were taking it. It is about a girl who is locked up in a psych ward because she is accused of killing her sister, and she contacts this other girl, I'm not going to spoil it because I didn't know much going in, contacts this other person to come and help her, and shit hits the fan, and she's like, hey, you gotta help me, I'm being set up, help, like, you just gotta help me get out of here. And I really enjoyed it. The ending fell a little flat for me, so it was a 4-star, but I ate this up. Like, I was hoping it was a 5-star, like, for most of it. The ending kind of, but loved it. Really fast-paced, really easy read. Enjoyed it a lot. Okay, so we broke even in August, I believe. If I'm wrong, let me know. I don't think we broke even in July, so I am going to set myself the challenge of reading my oldest book on my TBR, and I believe that is The Librarian of Auschwitz. It is a YA novel based off of a real girl that was in Auschwitz. So I am looking forward to that. I have owned it since I was in college, so it is about time. But thank you so much for watching. Comment, like, subscribe, all the normal stuff, and I will see you guys again really soon. Bye.